Hi, I'm Kamali, taking you through the stories people are talking about and sharing around the world on NewsFeed today. An incident of racism on campus in the US exposed by social media lets us once again see the racial bias infecting America. Shock election results in Malaysia, and social media may have helped a 92-year-old become the world's oldest prime minister. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeezy pop-up in Sydney draws zero crowds and the internet shrugs and laughs. And it's the biggest singing competition on earth. We'll tell you more than you may want to know about the Eurovision Song Contest. On top of our news feed, we're going to look at an example of racism on campus in the United States, which is just the latest example of something much deeper and more ingrained in US society: negative racial bias. Now, we're going to show you a video of something that happened in a dorm at the illustrious Ivy League institution of Yale. Have a look at this.
I have every right to call the police. You cannot sleep in that room.
Continue.
Now, what happened was that person who was being filmed is called Lalada Siombala. She was studying in a common room in the dorm when she fell asleep. Now, she was woken by the woman you saw in that clip, Sarah Bratch, who says that she had every right to call the cops. Now, there seem to be a couple of things going on here now. Would the police have been called had the girl asleep been white? And two, the student who called the police seems to have form that she can call the police on black people being on campus. It wasn't the first time that she'd done it. So here's what happened when the cops arrived.
4 cops, you guys.
Were you studying up there?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all your stuff up there?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first name is the OLO. Correct? Your first name is, oh, yes. Yes.
How you doing, sir?
How you doing?
What's your name?
Ovadi.
I'm sorry, you a Yale student?
Of course I'm a Yale student. How else would I get in here?
You're a Yale student. I was just asking.
Okay, well, you have 3
So
other
the girl
cops
upstairs,
here.
well, this is protocol, and I'm the supervisor, so it's going to be okay.
I know it's going to be okay. I know I'm not in trouble. My ancestors built this university. I know I'm not in trouble.
I don't know anything about that.
Okay,
I don't know this.
well, I'm not going to be harassed
This
because
isn't harassment, man.
that's exactly what it is. I'm writing a paper. I have a paper due 2 days ago.
Telephone call. So we're not.
Yeah, I understand that, but you should understand by now that there's actually, if you've actually spoken to her, it shouldn't take that long to understand that there's nothing going on.
We're understanding.
So why are you guys still here?
So it's 2 people that have different spectrums right now. So have you?
One that's like mentally healthy and one that's
I don't
psycho.
know. I don't
Okay.
know that.
Okay.
I can't make that determination. I'm not a professional like that.
That's fine.
What I can tell you is that we're going to do our job. All right. You're not being harassed.
I am
We're
being
just going to get
harassed.
down to the bottom of it. No, you're not.
What's the bottom of what?
The bottom of
the fact that I was like in the common room doing a paper and sleeping?
Worth saying that the university have apologised for everything that happened. Now, there have been big changes in Malaysian politics. A 92-year-old has been elected prime minister, and he used the power of millennials and social media to overturn the decades of one-party rule. Nasli Puyonan reports from KL and sent us this.
Social media played a pivotal role in this campaign because aside from the posters, aside from the badges that were being handed out, it was one way to reach a really wide audience here, particularly for the opposition grouping Pakatan Harapan, which will now be forming the first non-Barisan Nasional government that Malaysia has had in 6 decades. When I was speaking with members of Pakatan Harapan, they said the reason that they wanted to use social media, the reason why they were putting out so many videos, posts, photos on Instagram, Facebook or Twitter was because they felt that was the only way that they could truly have their perspectives about what they would offer Malaysia put out for voters. The state media here were very much focused on Barisan Nasional and what they had been offering over the past 6 decades and what their candidates were promising to deliver over the coming years should they retain office. On the final night of the campaign, just to give you an example, Prime Minister Najib Razak gave his final rally. In Malaysia, it's called a derama, and it was quite a long speech. It was broadcast across state media channels. So whether you were channel surfing or not, you were going to come across Najib Razak making promises, urging people to come out and vote for Barisan Nasional. At the same time, Mahathir Mohamad, the former Prime Minister and the chairman of Pakatan Harapan, was also giving a speech, except his was being broadcast out over Facebook. So you had two speeches being given pretty much almost simultaneously. And if you'd flicked on the television, you would have had no idea that Mahathir Mohamad was even talking. But you had to go through social media to find that.
That was called Love Jihad, and it's a term that was created by Hindu nationalists in India to stoke religious tensions with Muslims. Take a look at this.
Love Jihad? I will love Jihad.
Love Jihad.
Love Jihad. Love Jihad, a term you may not have heard if you're outside of India, but it's been getting a lot of attention since India's governing party, the BJP, came to power. So what is Love Jihad? It's a term frequently used by the right-wing Hindu nationalist organizations. They allege a conspiracy by Muslim men to marry women from other religions just to convert them to Islam. Now, in this country of 1.3 billion people, interreligious marriages have often been met with disapproval. But the so-called phenomenon of Love Jihad has become a political tool for pro-Hindutva groups.
शादी अगर समय पे नहीं हुई है तो वो कहीं न कहीं उलझ जाता है और उसमें अक्सर इस प्रकार के जो घटनाक्रम होते हैं कि वो बच्चा भागने के लिए या कोई लव जिहाद के नाम पे या किसी भी नाम से लोग उसको उलझा देते हैं.
This country has to ensure that the present population ratio is maintained and it doesn't get distorted by things like Love Jihad.
The term has been around since the early 2000s, but became a part of the public discourse in 2009 after 18-year-old Silja Raj eloped with her Muslim boyfriend in the state of Karnataka. The case was used as a propaganda by far-right Hindu groups to peddle the Love Jihad bill. In the same year, a high court in the southern state of Kerala asked the police to probe if there was an organized racket working to encourage youngsters to convert for love and money. The investigation was eventually closed after no evidence was found. Over the years, some interfaith marriages have gotten media attention and Love Jihad has become a part of the BJP's politics. Last year, Hadiya Jahan saw herself in the midst of the Love Jihad row after she married a Muslim man. Her family alleged that she was brainwashed and her marriage was annulled by the Kerala High Court. The Supreme Court later restored it. In another disturbing incident, a Rajasthan man, Shambhulal Regar, murdered a Muslim construction worker, recorded the incident on camera and made a hate speech about Love Jihad.
Love Jihad फैलाओ हमारे देश में ऐसा करो ये तुम्हारे हर जिहादी की हालत.
He was jailed but was glorified by Hindu nationalist groups in religious rallies after his arrest. Even Bollywood has been targeted. Top celebrities like Kareena Kapoor Khan have been accused of Love Jihad for marrying a Muslim. The actor's photoshopped pictures are used as a propaganda by right-wing fringe groups. And on Facebook, a Hindutva page has listed over 100 interfaith couples and urged Hindus to hunt down the Muslim men. The page was eventually removed, but hate-filled communities continue to fester online. Right-wing groups have also crashed interfaith marriages, and the issue has become a dividing factor in the country.
It's interesting they're using English rather than Hindi with the term Love Jihad. Let's take you around the world with some other stories you need to know this Friday. Now, this is Navdeep Bains, and he was repeatedly told to remove his turban when going through security in the United States. He refused, as he has the right to under US law, but was asked 3 more times. It was only after he reluctantly showed his diplomatic passport that security guards backed off. Now, he's the Minister for Science and Innovation in Canada and says it shows what people without his government privilege may have to go through. The Mute R. Kelly movement is gaining strength. Spotify say that they've not allowed some of the singer's songs to be used in their algorithms as part of the sexual abuse allegations that are against him. His music is still going to be available. Bad times for Kanye West, and who cares? Since Twitter and the TMZ Trove Love announcement, people don't like him so much. So when there was a pop-up of some of his sportswear in Sydney, no one turned up. And Swahili is now the first African language to officially be on Twitter. It's the official language of Kenya and Tanzania and is spoken widely in Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda and the DRC. Now, it's reported that most African languages on Twitter have been getting translated into Indonesian, so this is quite the step forward. The campaign was led by hashtags such as African languages matter and Swahili is not Indonesian. Botswana. Now, this weekend, a bunch of singers who are not really good enough to be actual pop stars will take part in a thing called the Eurovision Song Contest. Can you tell I'm not a fan? But my producer and millions of others are. Let's have a look at this.
Is Eurovision really just a music contest? The competition, which started in the 50s, captivates millions of people around the world. But it's not just the glitz and glamour. The event is used by many countries as soft power, a political showground, or for highlighting certain issues. Take France's entry this year. The song Mercy tackles the immigration crisis. It's about an infant born on a rescue vessel taking African refugees to safety in the Mediterranean Sea. And this isn't something new. Lebanon pulled out of the contest in 2005 due to a Lebanese law that prevents television stations from showing Israeli content. Georgia was disqualified from the Moscow 2009 contest over their disco funk entry, We Don't Want to Put In. After the European Broadcasting Union deemed the lyrics too political. Yet in 2016, Ukraine won with a song referencing Joseph Stalin's mass deportation of Crimean Tatars in 1944, to the dismay of Russia. And Turkey won Eurovision in 2003 with this song. But after their 2012 appearance, they withdrew from the competition because of the voting system and the automatic qualification of the Big Five: UK, France, Germany, Spain and Italy, who all go straight to the finals because they pay the most to the European Broadcasting Union.
We gave 12 points to Sweden.
What about voting? A combination of viewer votes and a music expert jury's opinions determine the winner. But geopolitics still heavily influence the results. Many say points are not awarded for the music, but for their political agenda. For example, Scandinavian or Balkan countries tend to vote for each other, raising the question whether the contest is really about music or more about politics.
Well, Paul Jordan is an expert in Eurovision and is in Lisbon, the lucky man for the contest this weekend. Paul, good to speak to you. So, first off, just give us a sense as to why this is such a big deal for anyone who may not know why Eurovision is so important.
Well, I think it's one of the only times really in in Europe where the continent comes together in the spirit of kind of fun and friendship and harmony. It really sounds cheesy, but it's the one night where the continent gets together, puts aside their political differences and sings a couple of songs. And I think it's really special. After 60 odd years, to still be doing that as a television production and as a television format, I think that's quite amazing.
It's a huge old production, isn't it? But you say the continent comes together, but we have Israel and Australia taking part.
Indeed. Well, the Europe that we talk about is very much a construct. Europe is a political idea as well as a geographical thing. But my personal opinion is that if you're willing to enter the song contest with good songs, you're really enthusiastic, then why not? It's very much about breaking down borders, and it's very much in keeping with the ethos of Eurovision.
Absolutely. And my Australian producers are the ones who are really into it and are looking forward to this weekend. Now, Russia didn't qualify, and that was a bit political, wasn't it?
It certainly was last year. So Russia had Yulia Samolova, and she was selected to represent Russia in Ukraine last year. And she had visited Crimea, so she was banned from entering the territory of Ukraine. Russia said they would send her again, and they did. But it was a little bit strange that they chose to kind of hide her wheelchair. She's a wheelchair user, and it felt like a missed opportunity, I think, to promote a positive image of disability. It was like they were kind of hiding the fact that she's a wheelchair user. So.
Right,
but it wasn't a good song, and first time Russia's not qualified. So
it wasn't a great tune. Okay, finally then, I don't know if you are a gambling man, Paul, but who do you think is going to win if you had to put money on it?
Do you know what? I am so bad at choosing the winner, but I've got each way bets on 4 countries. They are Cyprus, Norway, Moldova and Israel. So I think I've got my bets covered there. I think Norway is in with a really good chance. Not the best song, but he's won it previously back in 2009. He's a very good performer. Israel, of course, is the big favourite. I've got a sneaky feeling Moldova will do well. They came 3rd last year. But Cyprus is the bookies' favourite now. It's been taken over in the past few days, and it's very, very fierce. It's very, very sassy. They've never won as well, so it'd be lovely to see a new country winning.
If you're watching, enjoy. That's all from the NewsFeed team. You'll find us 24/7 on Twitter, YouTube and Facebook. Follow, subscribe and add. See you again tomorrow.